For countless years, Mars has remained our quiet celestial neighbor, an enigmatic world we've observed only through lenses, sensors, and distant machines whispering data across the cosmic void. Yet, something extraordinary happened when NASA's Perseverance rover recorded an image it was never designed to capture. In one faint, almost accidental frame taken from the Martian surface, scientists spotted a ghostly light hovering against the crimson sky. It looked at first like a star, but it wasn't. The light was in motion, slowly and deliberately. It was 3I Atlas, the enigmatic interstellar body that has confounded astrophysicists since its discovery. What had started out as a mundane image had developed into a discovery so disquieting that NASA scientists were left speechless. Embedded in that image was something that defied everything humanity knew about light, matter, and where the natural became the artificial. The question wasn't what the rover had observed, but why 3I Atlas was precisely where, hovering over Mars, as if to be seen. It started innocently, with a distant blur next to a group of faint stars. The Mastcam-Z camera on Perseverance snapped it nearly by chance, just a Martian day before 3I Atlas came within its closest approach to the planet. The scientists initially wrote it off as glare or a cosmic ray hit. But when several frames showed the motion of the object, their skepticism disintegrated. It wasn't motionless, it was moving, found exactly where astronomers had calculated the interstellar visitor would be passing. This was not chance. What happened next on the Martian surface added to the weirdness of the find. Dust devils began swirling all at once around the rover, pressure gauges jumped off the charts, and a massive storm was brewing on the horizon just as the object flew overhead. The coincidence was too good to be ignored. When Perseverance's sensors picked up weak electromagnetic fluctuations corresponding to the object's position in the Martian atmosphere, even skeptics fell into silence. This was not like any past anomaly ever recorded by a Martian lens. Those past events had never traveled with such elegance, nor responded as if they were being watched. Initial Perseverance and Mars orbiter data brought out something Earth-based telescopes never registered, *** sunlight behaving anomalously around 3I Atlas ***. Rather than dispersing at random, light warped, polarized, and curved as if it were following invisible geometries. Polarization, the separate alignment of light waves when they bounce off gas or dust, wasn't only strong, it was severe, nearly unnatural. The negative polarization of the object was greater than values ever recorded on comets or asteroids, and at levels even impossible according to standard physics. That implied that either the dust around it was made up of materials that science isn't aware of or that it was purposefully constructed. Other theorists pushed the idea even further, suggesting that the light wasn't reflected but rather emitted, possibly by a quiet beacon masquerading as diffused sunlight. For the first time ever, it wasn't the universe lighting up an object, it was as if the object itself was lighting the universe up. While Perseverance's snapshot showed only a faint blur, leaked Mars orbiter data teased more. The object wasn't round like a comet or irregular like an asteroid. Its form was stretched, organized, and governed, echoing Oumuamua, the initial recorded interstellar visitor that had defied scientists years ago. But this time, the information was clearer. 3I Atlas was not tumbling wildly, it was stable, well-balanced, and directed. Even its tail was a mystery. For most of its trajectory, the object had borne no visible tail, countering the physics of sublimation. But as it approached Mars, a thin, thread-like tail materialized, thin and unlike anything previously seen, before disappearing once more. Its consistent orientation, pulsating light, and fading tail suggested mechanisms far outside of human comprehension. Most unnerving of all was probably its trajectory. The trajectory wasn't random, it traced the ecliptic plane, the same plane that our planets follow as they orbit, like it was deliberately aligning itself with the solar system's geometry. That is when astrophysicist Avi Loeb and his colleagues stepped in, dividing the anomalies into two categories, those that one day could be explained, and those that probably never could. Among the unexplainable were two coincidences that rocked the scientific world. First, timing. 3I Atlas arrived at exactly the time it would come close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, synchronicity too precise to be coincidence. Second, direction. Its entry point into our solar system lay within 9 degrees of the WOW. Signal ****, the well-known unidentified radio burst heard in 1977 which some thought was of extraterrestrial origin. Might this interstellar traveler be linked to that old signal? Or worse, might it be responding to it? Calculations of the object's mass, over 33 billion tons, revealed something even more chilling. There simply wasn't enough interstellar material to form an object of such immense size, density, and perfect balance naturally. This left scientists staring at a single, terrifying conclusion. Perhaps 3I Atlas wasn't born in the depths of space, perhaps it was sent. When scientists examined spectral data from Perseverance's sensors, they revealed that the dust enveloping 3I Atlas was unprecedented. It didn't act like frozen carbon, silicates, or cosmic ice. Rather, it responded, each individual particle responding to sunlight in structured patterns that varied as the object approached Mars. Cosmic dust typically acts randomly, floating freely in vacuum. But this dust looked like it was receiving instructions. Its reflective behavior varied rhythmically, as if in a programmed sequence. Even more incredible, the polarized light pulses followed periodic intervals, replicating the Martian daylight cycle. How could an extraterrestrial object coordinate itself with Mars' rotation? The only reasonable explanation was that it wasn't synchronization, it was imitation. 3I Atlas seemed to be watching, learning, and changing its light pattern to match its surroundings. A comet with mimicry capability was not of nature, but of design. Before scientists could make sense of this strange optical phenomenon, the Sun had other plans. A gigantic coronal mass ejection, CME, burst forth, sending a whirlwind of plasma and magnetic rage hurtling across millions of kilometers. When it intersected the area where 3I Atlas was passing, all changed. The object disappeared, not exploded, not shattered, gone. Telescopes saw no reflection, no signal, no trace. Mars orbiters monitoring its movement lost contact just seconds after the solar burst. At first, NASA blamed this on solar interference. But when the plasma dissipated days later, the object was still gone. Then, weak electromagnetic echoes started to surface, not from the sky, but from the Martian ground itself. It was as if the object's existence had stirred something underground. Perseverance's sensors picked up an increase in subsurface ionization, a type of electrical whisper that oscillated at the same frequency as the light polarization patterns the team had seen days before. 3I Atlas somehow had left a signature behind, not in space, but in Mars dust. Weeks later, when Earth-based observatories caught up with the object again, it was already speeding toward the Sun. But before it vanished into solar glare, astronomers filtered its polarization data, and what they discovered boggled all understanding. Inside the light were incessant mathematical proportions, prime numbers, Fibonacci spacing, and the golden ratio, designs too contrived to be coincidental. The object was not simply bouncing sunlight off it, it was modulating sunlight, writing information into the very light. When those points of information were projected across a three-dimensional grid, what the world was presented with was astounding. The geometric profile of the Martian orbital plane appeared. It was sending a map, not to it, and not to us, but to a place beyond. The implication was profound and frightening. 3I Atlas was not an inert passenger passing through our solar system, it was sending a signal. Mars was not just another planet it passed by, it was part of a relay. And whatever message it held, it was already en route.